Well, it's our last morning here, and I'm talking a little bit quietly because people are ratty. It's sort of 8 o'clock in the morning time. But observations this year have been, we've had a good time. We've had a fun time. The children have had a fantastic time. That's great. That's what it's all about. But Butlins, it used to be the working class holiday. It used to be, even in the last sort of 3 to 5 years, you would pay your price, your accommodation, and you'd pay your food separately, obviously. And most things would be included. Like, we used to be able to send the kids to play football in a sports activity, and that would be included in the price. Things like balanceability were included in the price. But all of this stuff costs extra now. Not only that, the things that were quote unquote free, for example, the swimming pool, still free. However, the hours in this term time midweek break have been slashed to the bone. 10 a.m. opening, 3 p.m. closure. 3 p.m. Whereas you used to come just last year in a term time, and there would be 9 a.m. openings. There would be tot sessions in the morning. These things were not here this week. And also 5 to 6 p.m. closures. 3 p.m. closures. The fun fair, 11 a.m. opening, 4 p.m. closure. Once again, used to be 10 a.m. opening, 5 p.m. closure, and then some breaks that we've been on, term time breaks as well. There's been at least one night where you would have a late night fun fair session. That's not here, that's not present, that's not happening. The food offerings this week, we've dined in the deck every evening and every morning, and the offering, the choice has diminished quite significantly, and the quality of the food has dipped for what you are paying, which is no different in price, in fact somewhat more expensive in price than last year. You're getting less. I'm not a big eater anyway, but still, for example, they always used to have the fish and chip night. I mean, we've been here over a dozen times with the kids, and you'd always have the fish and chip night. But this week, what they did for fish and chips was a tray of scampi and some chips. Used to be cod when we first started coming here. Cod went off the menu years ago. Then they changed it to whitefish and chips, and now it's just, there you go, have some scampi. And yet the price of the dining has not gone down. It's gone up. And now I understand things are getting more expensive, inflation, all of that. But that inflation is being passed on to us as the customer, but we're not being given inflationary equivalents when it comes to the food. I guess I'm just somewhat disappointed in the fact that now this new multi-million-pound play experience is going to be opening in September. It seems that the idea is for people to buy their play tokens, which will be inclusive of all activities on the resort, not just what's going on over in there, in advance. And you save money if the more play tokens you buy. I mean, they start, if you want to buy one, at £8 for one play token. But if you buy 20 plus, they're then £4.95 on a term time break. But another thing that I find a bit dastardly, a bit devious, is that they're £6 on a half-term break for the same thing. You're doing the same activity in the same place for the same time. But because you've been able to afford to book the outlandish half-term or summer holiday prices, they assume that you can just pay a bit more for the same thing. And I don't think that's particularly good. It's quickly becoming no longer the vacation or holiday of the working class here at Butlins Bognor Regis. It is very clear that they're going to price the average person out eventually. We've got the hotels here and all of that, and the other resorts don't have the hotels. But it just seems that the direction of travel is to charge for absolutely everything. And then the things that they do keep free, like the swimming pool, they will just slash hours to the bone. so that you're forced into these experiences that you have to pay extra for. It's a bit scummy, especially when we're entering a cost of living crisis, in my opinion. Butlins used to be completely all-inclusive. It used to be the camp, the holiday camp, the holiday of the working class. Have we had fun? Have the kids had a good time? As I said at the beginning of this chat, yes, we have. But it's not been cheap. We've probably spent more money this week than we've ever spent here before. And I don't feel like we've got a lot more for it than we have done in previous years. And as I said, things like the fun fair and stuff, we've not really been able to do because it's barely open. One final point on the swimming especially is yesterday I took Dexter into the swimming pool, and because of those reduced hours, it forces far more people into the venue in a shorter space of time. You can't spread out the amount of people and the amount of time, and it just felt dangerous. Even in the wave pool, you couldn't move. You could not move an inch. The lifeguards were blowing their whistles every 10 seconds because somebody was beyond the white line during the waves. They had nowhere else to go. It was so busy. It was so full. That's just our experience. Ultimately, we have had a good time. It didn't cost the earth to get you to the resort, to get you to stay here. And it didn't even cost the earth really for food. It did cost more for food than it cost for the room. But it's just all of those additional things whilst on resort, like the go-karts, for example. They're like £5–6 a cart. However, they're open an hour before the fun fair opens. They close an hour after the fun fair. Funny that, whilst my comments here have been mostly negative, I would be doing a disservice to anybody watching this if I was to say, oh, it was brilliant, it was fantastic, it was great, everything was amazing. Because whilst we had fun, all of those hidden charges that popped up on top of everything were it just felt scummy. It really did. It felt scummy that you had to continue to pay in order to enjoy your day, when you used to be able to, if you wanted, go sit on the fun fair from 10 till 5 and then go for dinner. You can't do that anymore. So if you want to fill the time, you have to pump money into things. And it's done by design, obviously. They did appear to be quite understaffed this week. The swimming pool were not opening all of the slides because they didn't have the staff to, so they were staggering it. Some days the Helter Skelter and the racers were closed, some days the Sticker Rock was closed. It just felt like there were far too many people here for the staff. And things like the face painting, which was like £5–6 last year, now £9. At this time, I'm going to be completely honest, and like I say, I'll be doing a disservice to anybody watching this to lie. If you're a working class family picking your holiday and you don't have a lot of money, don't come here, because it is going to cost you the earth to keep your kids happy, to keep your kids entertained. Because until they decide to start reopening those free things for a full day, you're stuck. You've either got the arcade machines you've got to keep pumping money into, or you've got to find other activities which they have highly inflated the prices of in favour of other years. And the entertainment has not been great this year. It's usually good fun. It's usually a laugh, but it's not been great. So I would say take your money and go find a cheap European holiday, because ultimately speaking, you didn't get a lot here for what ultimately you're going to end up paying. So that's been my completely honest review of this week. We're called The Real Review for a reason. We don't like to sugarcoat things. And we will come back at some point because it's our kids' favourite place. But at least this time we have the foresight to know what we can and can't do versus what we need to pay extra for. And I think that this whole play token thing is really going to muddy the water with some people going forwards.